Hola! It's April Yvette Thompson from thedreamunlock.com, coming to you from the Badass Actors and Writers page, which is our Facebook page for thedreamunlock.com. And this is a part of Ask April, which is continuing throughout December in preparation for the sexy classes that will go on sale in January for the Dream Unlock, the 12-step Finish Your Damn Script, which is a 12-month program. It's an online class. It's 12 master classes, weekly writer's tips that build on the master classes, and you get live office hours every month on Facebook to ask questions. That will go on sale for 20% off in the new year. And the Dreaming Out Loud for Writers, which is in the works, and it's based on my Dreaming Out Loud technique, which is writing from a place of knowing your purpose and knowing your 4 major emotional chords. And to that end, we sent out a survey. And if you fill out the survey, I will come on Facebook Live and I will answer your questions. How amazing is that? You'll have your own personal coach. The only trick is you have to fill out the survey. So if you sign up, we'll send you the link to the survey. You can fill it out, or I'll even put the link to the survey in the notes here so that you can, let me see if I can find that for you, and post it right now so that I can come back. And I'll be coming back Tuesdays, and on Saturdays we'll be mixing it up. But if you're on my mailing list, we'll send you a reminder. Hey, we're going on live now to answer your questions. Hey, we're going on live tomorrow to answer your questions. So if you sign up, we'll send you the link. You can go to thedreamunlock.com to sign up. And I'm going to answer Leanna's questions. Right. Now, I made notes to myself, so let me check my notes. Now, one of her first questions was, how do you know when your script is done? The other question is, how do you get your script produced? And then there was one more, and I want to make sure I get it right because I want to cover all of them. And if you have additional questions, you can ask me now in the comment section and I'll respond. First of all, a little bit about me and script development. I'm an actor, writer, playwright, producer. And I produce my own plays. My plays have been produced off Broadway and toured. And then I was director of development for Simon Says Entertainment. Oh God, like 6 or 7 years. And we took 4 films to Sundance. And in my capacity as director of development, I took scripts, looked at them and said, this is what needs to happen to the script to get it production ready. This is what needs to happen to the script in order for me to put it in front of investors. This is what needs to happen with this script in order for me to pitch it to Sundance Lab to come in and develop it. This is what this lookbook needs to look like. This is what the outline needs to look like. This is what the press and the marketing materials need to look like. That was my job as development director. As a producer, straight up, is to help raise money and get it in film festivals and get the film sold. And we took 4 films to Sundance. Night Catches Us, starring Kerry Washington and Anthony Mackie. Dunhill Road, starring Isai Morales and Judy Reyes. Mother of George, starring Denai Herrera. And most recently, Blue Caprice, starring Isaiah Washington. Great scripts written by directors of color, directed, produced by people of color, artists who decided to do it themselves. So I've had a lot of experience getting from great script idea, rough draft, to production ready draft, to raise money draft, to shopping draft, to getting it shot, going into post, and then getting it into festivals. And all of the films that I worked on went to Sundance. So that was just a lot of hard work, learning on the job, but also, I mean, I was an English major at Vassar College. Like, I know structure, and I've put together for my clients who I've been coaching for years now, who've produced their shows. And if you go to my website, you can look at all the testimonials of all the performers whose shows are done. They're done. Ilsa Reina, Juan Francisco Villa, David Newer, Lisa Strum is touring her show now. She gonna learn. Lots of folks. Their shows are just out in the hemispheres, and they're working. So I feel like my strength as a coach is I talk about what a good script needs, but I've also written a good script and got it produced. I've also produced a good script and done script doctoring to get it there. And then I know how to shape a press kit to say, can you give me $1 million for this? And I shop it to people, right? So I think the best teachers are people who have done what they want, what you want to do, first of all. And second of all, they have a background in really teaching and putting together a methodology and a process. So that's a place that I speak from as someone who has to raise the money and get it produced. And also as a creative, the writer myself, right? So in terms of answering Leanna's question, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Getting a script produced, you have to create heat around the script, first of all. Because when you're talking about producing, unless you're producing it yourself, which are two different roads to go, I've done both, right? Raised money for somebody else to produce it and then raised money to produce it myself. So it depends on the medium and it depends on who you want to produce it, self-producing, or you want somebody who's a money person. Now, if you want a namey money person, you have to have a namey following. So I always tell people this, and I always tell to filmmakers, the films that we've sold successfully, those filmmakers already had websites, social media following behind their projects. That is something that a person is going to write you a check for $500,000. They want to see, do you have an audience? Otherwise, you're not a good investment. That's just common sense. I mean, it's common sense to me, maybe because I'm, a West Indian girl from an Afro-Caribbean Latino family where everybody has 16 jobs, and they're like, if you don't have a client base, what you doing? Like, nobody cares what your story is if you don't have a client base. You haven't demonstrated to us that somebody wants to buy what you have to sell. And artists sometimes have a hard problem with this, but just think if somebody was asking you for, I don't know, a year's worth of your rent to produce a play that had no audience, it had no previous screenings, it had no previous productions, you don't know how it's going to be received, it has no reviews, the person's a newcomer, would you give up your whole year's rent for some good intentions? No. And films and plays rarely, especially first time out, indies and plays, off-Broadway plays, Broadway plays, 90% of them don't make their money back. So when you're asking somebody for money, you better have a damn good reason why they should give it to you. And that's how you should look at asking somebody to produce your own show. Now, the other road is to produce it yourself, which I did in 2014. I raised $100,000 in 30 days to workshop my play Good Bird Alley and co-produce it with Simon Says, me, the interchangeable Yvette Thompson, and New York Theater Workshop. And it was a shit ton of work. But I did it. I raised the money. I hired a team. I set an agenda. I hired staff. Did it. It's a lot of work. A lot of work. But again, you actually already have to have an audience. You have to have a following, whether you're going to produce it yourself or you're going to produce it, you're going to pitch it to somebody else. You have to demonstrate to that person that you're asking for money, hey, look, I have people who are going to buy this when it's done. Okay? Sansa, the red-haired woman in Game of Thrones, everybody laughs at this and everybody gets really, really mad because she did a fantastic article for Vanity Fair in which she talks about the reason that she got the job on Game of Thrones with so few credits. She was a nobody over actresses who had a lot more credits and more talented. It's because she had a 20,000 person following on Instagram. And people thought that was just awful, why she should be rewarded that way. I was like, HBO is a business. Why should they give some actress who has no social media following the job because she's talented? But if the show doesn't make money because nobody watches it or nobody buys HBO because they don't recognize any of the names, it's not somebody they follow or know. If the show doesn't make money and then it ends because you wanted people who were talented with no social media following, well, we work in a capitalist economy. The arts aren't funded, so the show's got to survive. Right? It's got to have names or it's got to have some people in it that bring an audience with them. See, because HBO runs on subscriptions. There's lots of chances they can't take, right? They actually have to sell subscriptions for their stuff to work. It's a little unlike, primetime TV that gets advertisers. HBO actually depends on having a buying, paying audience who can stop buying and paying at any time with their subscriptions. So the actresses who were really lovely with 2,000 followers didn't get the job over an actress that had 20,000 followers who was a decent actress. She may not have been their first choice, but they wanted the show to survive. So that's good business. You know, they made a business decision to get the larger artistic project made. So if you want to make yourself sexy to producers, you need a social media following. I need to know that if I raise money to produce something you wrote and you're starring in and you have no credits and nobody knows you, that you at least have an audience that follows you and is loyal, and they will buy tickets. Okay, so show me the numbers. It's really important. And as a producer, directors who said to me, oh, I don't have social media file, I'm really not into it. I don't care how good the script was, we're not producing you. And I was like, you want me to raise $1 million for you and you can't show me that I'm going to get some of that money back by having a following? If you don't have a following, that means nobody's interested in your work. Why should I invest in you? This is just good common sense. You know, the first thing that goes out of the window when artists start talking about their hopes, wishes, and dreams is that they lose the reality check that your hopes, wishes, and dreams are costing somebody a lot of money. And you need to prove yourself worthy of that, especially in the arts, because people don't make their money back. They don't, very rarely. So that's the first thing. You need a following. You need a platform. Even now, if you want to write a book, nobody writes the book first and then sends it out to publishers anymore. You write a book proposal. And part of that book proposal is, what is your social media strategy? What's your following? What city is your following biggest in? Then we will plan a whole P&R rollout based on the cities that your followers are part of. That's common sense. You know, when we're trying to get our movies into theaters, like Blue Caprice, for example, when we're trying to get that into theaters, we had to demonstrate that we had actual following in certain cities. Otherwise, why is, the distributor IFC going to go to freaking Philly, a little tiny indie film theater that nobody really knows, it's outside of town? Well, you know why they put their film there in Philadelphia? Because we had a 5,000 member strong following on social media of folks in Philadelphia who were like, we want to see that film. And it is the people in Philadelphia that got our film into that movie house. That's how it works, folks. It's business. It's a business. We were a good investment for IFC to buy our film because we had following. And we could quantify that following by our mailing list, by Facebook, by Instagram, by Twitter, because we look at the demographics of who's following us. We're engaged with our audience. We have an emotional connection to our audience, right? We tell stories that are in line with their core values and they're important to them. The other, the outsider, people of color, people who've been oppressed, people who are in search of definition. We have a real brand. So when you are trying to get produced, you need to create a brand, and it's an emotional brand to your work. Why should people care? If you could demonstrate to me that, or you can show me that you have a 10,000 person strong mailing list and they're engaged with you, and you have, an email platform. I use MailChimp. I love MailChimp. I mean, not MailChimp, MailChimp I think is really complicated, a Constant Contact. But any of those platforms, every time you send something out, it tells you how many people reads them. So you know how much of your audience is engaged. So if you're talking to a producer, you can be like, this is my percentage of, when I send out an email, this is how many actions I get taken. So, 25% of my email list is reactive, right? If I send something out, they buy tickets. When I'm negotiating a deal as an actor for a play and they've made me an offer to be in the play, I'm like, if you give me 100 discount tickets throughout the course of the run, I can guarantee you I will sell every one of them if you put the price here. And I just gave them my numbers on my mailing list. And sure enough, I was doing a play on Broadway and I was like, give me $30 tickets. I will fill the rafters in 2 emails. And I did, right? That's business. You actually have to start thinking like a business person, because whatever it is that you want to do is costing somebody a lot of money. So following a platform, do you have a website? Do you have a donation link where people can start giving you money? Even before the script is done, I have my client Justine Hall, who I just finished reading her production ready draft today of her solo show that she's been working on for 2 years with me. It's gorgeous and amazing. And before she even finished, I was like, so you need a YouTube channel. You need to start talking about your work. You need to get people excited about your work. You need to share snippets of the musical. You need to share your inspiration. You need to share clips. You need to share excerpts. You need to share imagery that what you were inspired by. Get people emotionally involved in the story that you're about to tell long before it's done, right? Because those are the people you're going to ask to buy tickets. Those are the people you're going to ask to sign up. Those are the people you're going to ask to call a friend to buy tickets. Those are the people that if you decide to produce it yourself, you're going to ask them each, can you give me $5 a month for the next year? And if you have 1,000 people in your mailing list and you ask each of them for $5 a month and they give it to you, that's a lot of money at the end of the year. And all you're doing is sending them a newsletter once a month, keeping them in the loop about what you're working on so that they feel a part of the creative process. That's how you build audience, right? So the audience that you build through social media is going to support your work in a couple of ways. They're going to get you a producer to give you money to produce your script, or they're going to donate to your crowd raising, your crowdfund campaign, whether it's Kickstarter, whichever, right? So build audience. That's how you get produced. The second step of that is that if you know that you want to go with traditional producers, you actually need to find out what are the hot developmental labs for your genre, right? So for young playwrights, it's the Public's Emerging Playwrights program, which you study with them for a year, and you get mentorship, and you get a showcase, a workshop reading of your show at the Public, in which they invite agents, and then you get an agent, and that is how Dominique Morisseau is like the most produced playwright in America right now without writing for a television show. She was in the Emerging Playwrights Lab. That was it. She was an actor turned writer, right? New York Theater Workshop is a developmental lab that they do readings every Monday, but they also take several plays up to their retreats to develop. And the plays that they develop in those retreats are usually the plays that get produced. That's how my play Liberty City was produced. Eugene O'Neill develops new plays. You should be applying to these places. New York Stage and Film, the Lark Play Development Lab in New York City, the Playwrights Lab in Minnesota, Sundance Lab, of course. These are the big ones. These are the ones that people who end up in off-Broadway runs of their shows go to. Now, if you're a newbie, you're going to start everywhere. Like in New York, there's a thing called United Solo, in which you go in with this platform, United Solo, and I think you put up a certain amount of money and then they match it, and then you get a week-long run in off-Broadway house for your show. It's a great way to get producers to see your work. I have several clients. Kareem Lucas is producing all over the place. He's an NYU grad, an actor, but he's also a prolific writer. And he was like, I want to produce my play. I want to like rent a space in New York City and do it. And I was like, okay, great. Let's do this marketing strategy. And we did it. And he sold out for 2 weeks and he doubled his money. It wasn't complicated. He just built audience, right? And since then, his new play was just at New York Theater Workshop at the 4th Street Theater. And he has another one coming up. Like, he's all over the place. He's learned how to self-produce. It's not rocket science. It's not. Hire a coach. Nobody, I get this in all of the surveys. Well, how much would you be willing to pay for this service? And everybody's like, well, I want it for free. I was like, well, you don't really want to get produced and get paid for your money, paid for your work.